guys, so from the title of this video, you guys already know, today we're going to be going over brake removal. We're going to make this very basic for you guys today. This is going to be for the SW20 chassis, which runs from 91 to 99. Going to go over the little bits of it and what tools you'll need, how long it's going to take, and what you need to do in the process of taking them off. It's very simple in my opinion. Most of the tools that you'll be using today, most people already have. I'm hoping that if you're working on a Japanese car, you would already have a set of metric wrenches of some sort. That would probably be the hardest, most expensive part of all this, is if you don't have wrenches or any tools. That's where you could run into some issues, but I'm hoping that if you're doing your brakes, you do have some type of tool set. So let's go ahead and start off here and I'll show you what you'll need. Here's everything that you'll need and everything that I recommend you guys use for this. So we'll go ahead and start off here. We have a 10mm box wrench, 17mm solid box wrench, then we have a 17mm adjustable. Now this isn't 100% necessary, but it does make the job a lot easier as you have a ratcheting action. You'll also need a small adjustable. You'll need some type of vise or grip to get some of these clips out. Once again, you may not need this, but this does make it easier for this job. Another pair of needle nose here. Penetrating oil for those old pesky bolts that's going to be hard to get on and off. You'll definitely want this, guys. This will definitely come in handy. You'll need this sledgehammer dash. I'll show you here in the later part of the video. These rotors can be a bit finicky and can be a little hard to get off. Pry bar here is for some pesky items also. Again, that might not be needed, but I would recommend it. We have two cups here, one for catching some brake fluid and another is also for catching brake fluid at a different point, which I'll show you. And then gloves and rags. You can never have enough gloves and rags, especially when dealing with brake fluid. It's a mess, and when it gets on your hands, it's a pain to get off. So I highly recommend always using gloves. And if necessary, guys, please use safety goggles or glasses. I don't, just because, well, I'm a bad example, but that's something you really should be using. So let's go ahead and go over it here. I'm going to start off with what you need to remove first and go on for the rest. So first thing, guys, one thing I recommend is turn your wheel to the proper manner to make sure that your brakes are sticking out as far as possible. Now, obviously for the rears, you won't be able to do this, but for the front brakes, since you do have the accessibility, crank the wheel over as far as you can, so it makes it much easier to get to these bolts back here that you'll need to remove, and makes it easier to get to your brake lines. Just the first off thing here I want to mention. Now, first thing we're going to do here is we're going to remove this bolt right here, guys. This is for the actual brake line itself. This is a 14mm. That's one wrench I forgot to mention, guys. If you can see here, 14mm goes on real easily. Now, again, just like any other nut or bolt on a car, lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. So let's go ahead and knock this off first. But before you do so, we want to put one of the cups that we have over here underneath, because as soon as you go ahead and unravel this, it's going to start letting fluid out. And I do have some cardboard down here just in case, but it's always nice to have a cup under there just so it catches any bit of drippings. First thing you want to do is get your cup, set it underneath just so it can catch any oil catching. Unless you have a pan that you can use, that'll work, but I'm trying to make this as Susie homemaker as possible. Anyone can do this. You're going to need your 14mm wrench here. Go ahead and stick that on. Again, this is lefty-loosey, righty-tighty, so what I'm going to do is grab both hands here. I'm going to pull towards myself. As soon as I did that, it popped loose. Now I should be able to, by hand there, yep, I can now unravel this the rest of the way. Again, as soon as I do this, you guys can see already, it's starting to drip some fluid. So I'm going to go ahead. This is where gloves come in handy. Now, don't be afraid if you get some on the floor. That's going to happen, guys. It's not going to be perfect, but this should work. As soon as I pull that out, yep, you guys can see some of the fluid coming out. Now, let that drip there. Go ahead and pull this off here. There we go. Boom. As you can see, guys, it's going to drip from both areas here. It's dripping out of the actual caliper itself and the line. We're going to be removing that line here in a minute, but I'm going to let some of the fluid come out just so when I'm working here, it's not getting all over my hands, kind of like it is right now on my gloves, because I like to keep as little of a mess as possible. All right, guys, next up what we're going to do here is remove this clip. If you guys can see, there's a little clip here that needs to be slid out. There's no really easy way of going about this or removing it. It just needs to pull forward here out towards me. Once you pull it out, it'll slide out, and then you'll be able to pull this line up through, and then we'll have one other clip up top here and a 10mm we need to loosen up. So I'm going to go ahead and try to put my grips on it here. Here's the fun part, trying to get the grips on it. Unfortunately, the grips I have aren't exactly the best on earth either. Here's where using a pry bar can come in handy, because these clips can be on there, kind of like this one is right now, unfortunately. There we go. Popped it right out by using the pry bar. Much, much, much easier. And yes, I do realize I don't have my gloves on right now, so I am kind of winging this. So I'm going to go ahead and re-grab it here. yank on this. Oh. And there we go, guys. The clip is off. Now we're able to pull this actually up and through. Now when you do this, this thing is still draining fluid, guys, just an FYI. So what you can do now is use your second cup. Use the first one here for the caliper to drip into, and the second one will be for this actual line itself. So let's go ahead and pull this up through and put another cup down. There we go, guys. Good to go. So now we need to go up top here and grab the other bolt. I'll move the camera for that. Now next up, guys, we have a 10mm and another slide clip. First thing, before you remove that slide clip, just so we have something that we can use for leverage, we need to get this 10mm off. The problem is, it's been on there for 25 years, so using a standard 10mm wrench is not going to cut it. 9 times out of 10, they don't fit on there perfectly, and they have a good chance of rounding that off. That's where that small adjustable is going to come in hand, and we're going to make sure we put that on there as tight as possible and hope we don't strip it. I've already done one side of the car, but I'm showing you guys this on the second half, so I already got one off, but I want to make sure I get this off too. So let's go ahead and grab our adjustable at this point. We're going to take our small adjustable here, guys. Sorry if my arm gets in the way by the way at this point. I know it's going to be a little hard here, so we're going to take our small adjustable and try and get this on here and make sure it's as tight as possible. I got very lucky, guys. I was able to get it on there tight and then crank it one time and it just popped. And now it's loose. So what I can do is either keep using my adjustable that I have right now or switch over to the 10, which fits on there a little bit easier. So I'm just going to switch over to a standard 10. As there's no real tension on it now, we're just using it to loosen it up. All right, guys, now it is completely loose up there. I can move it, as you guys can see, but they're still hanging here. What's holding it in is, like we saw there earlier, there's a small clip right here that we need to grab and pull out. Now, we don't really have the ability to have anything with a pull bar or pry bar on it, so we're going to have to try and get that little clip with a pair of needle nose or a pair of small vice grips. I should be able to wiggle it off the rest of the way with a set of pliers / vice grips here. Now that's off. Now this should actually pull right down through, or actually right up through here. So let's go ahead and get this out, and we should be done with that part of this step. There we go, guys. All loose now. Now this is out. I'm just going to take this and set this off to the side. All right, guys, next up here, we need to remove two 17mm nuts. On the top here, we have the one right here I'm shining the light on. I'll circle it in red here for you. That needs to be removed first, and then there's one right down below it. Now, it's hard for me to get the camera down there to show you guys, but there's two 17mm there. On the other side, they were very, very, very easy to remove. I'm not sure if it was just because I put the lithium on there or what, but it broke off very, very easily for me. So this should break off easily for you too. Just take a 17mm wrench and we'll go ahead and pop these off. I'm going to set the camera down so you guys can see me do it. Now once that's broken loose, guys, we can go ahead and keep doing it. Now what I would recommend at this point is taking this now and going down below and popping off the bottom one. Don't completely remove the bottom one yet, but go ahead and pop it loose, and we'll go ahead and grab the ratcheting style 17mm if you have one. So guys, what I went ahead and did, there's a bottom bolt 17mm, went ahead and removed that one and left the top one on. The reason for that is so when this does come off, because these are the last two bolts that you need to actually take the physical caliper off, it would be much easier to grab it from the top. So if we just take off this top bolt here, I'm going to go ahead and use my ratcheting 17mm. This will slide off. You'll see it drop slightly. You might need to apply some pressure to physically pull it up and off, but that should be it, and this should pop right off. So let's go ahead and get this last bolt out. There we go, guys. The caliper is now off. So let's go ahead and set this off to the side here. All right, guys, now that we have that caliper off, all we have to do is remove the rotor here itself. Now, this does just slide on and off. Nothing bolts it or holds it on. The problem is, I can tell this has been on here for a while, and it is very stiff and very hard to get off. So what you're going to do is use that sledgehammer I was showing you earlier, a weighted one. You don't want to be going to use a metal 20-pound sledgehammer because you can crack and damage these. What you're going to do is start off slightly hitting it and then progressively hit it harder and harder until it does pop off. It's going to take some force to get this, guy, so I'm going to set the camera back a little bit. Hopefully it doesn't take too much, but it's going to take a little bit of a pounding to get this really done. That actually came off way easier than I thought it was going to, guys. Check that out. So this is good. Now let's show you what all got taken off. All right, guys, here's everything. Here's all the brakes off the car. We have the caliper itself, we have the rotor, the brake line, and the bolts and everything that held it on. This is all that really is to it. This is both the driver and passenger side here. And I have the spare cups there that I was actually using earlier. But this is it, guys. So it's very, very simple, as you can see from this video. For your pretty much any do-it-yourselfer can really do this. Obviously, you need to make sure you get your car jacked up properly, but I would like to think most of you guys out there that's doing this job know how to jack up your car and make sure to get this done right. Guys, I hope this was helpful for you. I really enjoy doing these how-to kind of videos. It's hard at times just because of being in the garage and some dark spots. I try to keep it as lit as possible and to help you guys out as best I can. If you have any questions or concerns, please, down in the comments below, let me know what you think. If you need anything, you can also shoot me a message over on my Facebook or Instagram page, which is also linked down below. If you're looking to work or partner up with me, please hit my business inquiries email down below. And if you need anything else, just say hey. Thank you guys very much, and I will talk to you later.